So the manual uniform traffic control devices has numerous designs of pedestrian cross markings that we can use. All of them are effective in their own way. There are other ways of developing crosswalk and crosswalk markings that I'll show you here over a series of slides. I mean, very fundamental in terms of their application. So the typical grid as shown in that picture. And then others will use the ladder type methodology. This is a shot from Baltimore, Maryland. So heavy pedestrian corridor, therefore the crosswalk is relatively large and wide in nature, and then accommodated by a median on the other side. There are communities that do, even though we don't show it in terms of a standard design for crosswalk, that still like the solid markings for pedestrian crossings, and perhaps you're a little bit more or a bit more conspicuous for the pedestrian as they go across. But one of the challenges we always have is the maintenance of them, right? So as time goes along, vehicle traffic will begin to wear off those markings, and it becomes a bit more of a challenge to make sure that those facilities are appropriately defined. One of the newer things that's coming along, and this kind of parallels with this concept of traffic calming. Has everybody heard that term? So trying to find ways to slow down traffic at the same time is accommodating different modes is using some new means or new facilities to accommodate pedestrians in a mid-block type mode. This is actually a shot from Australia as well, but it's commonly used in the US now in developing these refuge areas. So for pedestrians to shorten the cross distance or traveling distance across the roadway, and then giving a resting place in the middle if you need to cross two approaches. It gets complicated real fast, especially when you get into the higher end urban areas. This is a shot from outside my building in Madison, where the pedestrians crossing from engineering, kind of down at the bottom of the picture, if you will, to some of the other areas to get across this facility. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a five-leg pedestrian crossing with pedestrian refuge areas in between. And how do you think people actually operate in this system? So as a pedestrian, what do you think most pedestrians do? Exactly, right? So we've created this zigzag of, and beautiful, accessible areas. So we have the detectors, we have everything you need. We got push buttons, you name it. But what if people come here and they go and right over there to where they want to go over a high volume, high speed corridor. So sometimes, even though we're accommodating pedestrians, we have to be smart in terms of the pedestrian movements. And if it becomes an issue, then we're going to have to control that access point in the location a little bit tighter. What you also see, and this also is a shot from Madison, and I noticed this in more and more communities around. This is you can't see it, I know, so you have to kind of just use your imagination here with me. But there's a road that kind of is a one-way road that peels off of, this is University Avenue, peels off to go back in by Babcock, where you get ice cream and all that kind of good stuff. And there's a one-way bike lane that's coming the other way. The bike lane then comes across, and then Campus Drive and then into Johnson Street is the one-way direction the other way. So we have this marking here going across University Avenue that's actually a bike lane only. And it's signed here, bikes, etc. What you find then is that looks like a pedestrian crossing, and you see pedestrians deciding that as they're walking along here like this young fellow is walking along and can cut across, and we start getting bicycle and pedestrian conflicts. So the safety issue now has moved from vehicular to being between the pedestrian and bicycle mode, trying to share the same corridor. So a conflicting message, and we have to be careful about the messages we send on how to accommodate all those types of facilities. And then construction, and we can spend a whole nother time talking about construction-related issues and how to accommodate pedestrians, etc. But I think, regardless of what frame of mind you're in, whether you're an ADA person or a regular pedestrian person or whatever it is, I mean, this is not the way to accommodate a pedestrian through a construction facility, and providing some 4x4s for them to trip over on their way to the sidewalk. All right, so a lot of things to work on from that area as well. New technologies. Anybody seen the lighted pedestrian crossings? So that's something that's new. Everybody know what I'm talking about? So essentially what happens when you push a pedestrian button, there's little lights in the pavement here. So that's what these little dots are. and then they shine each direction to the vehicle, so it's almost like runway lights coming on looking at you, saying that you have to yield and stop at this point because a pedestrian is going across. Those who have tried it, again, extremely expensive, so not a lot of folks have implemented it, but those who have tried it have found it to be very effective. And there's other mechanisms. They use these in Platteville to put signs in the middle of the road to say state law or whatever, yield to pedestrians. So is that effective? You don't think so? I think statistically everybody would agree with that. Provide some visual communication to the driver. Wintertime, we tend to get rid of these things pretty quick around here. No way, the plows don't like them. And others decide to get rid of them quickly. But it's tried, and it's another form of communication. And then we were talking beforehand, Amy and I, about the flag usage. I don't know if that's something that's been tried in this area, but it's been tried in Madison. And essentially what there are is on each side of the crosswalk, there's a bucket carrying little red flags. And the idea is you come at the crosswalk and you grab the flag and you signal to the vehicles that you're getting ready to cross, and it makes you more visible and lets the drivers know that they need to yield to you. But quickly, the story I told Amy, when these things, they decided to pilot this program on Monroe Street. If anybody knows Monroe Street in Madison, it leads right up to where Camp Randall Stadium is for football. And they put this thing in the summer, and the students started using it in the fall, and I went down there to check it out, and my poor wife has to listen to me talk about transportation-related issues all the time, where most times she really is not overly interested in that. But I said, look at these flags here. This is a new program. And you saw a pedestrian come up and wave the flag, and then when we stopped and watched, you saw every car driving by, people hanging out the window saying, "Yeah, go Badgers, go Badgers." They thought they were kind of cheering for the home team there, and they're saying, "Well, I'm trying to cross the darn road, but nobody's stopping." So perception and understanding is an important issue, but yet a program that many communities are using, actually, especially at school-related locations. And I think for the most part, it certainly doesn't hurt. I'm not sure how overly effective it is, but it's a concept that's been tried. Another topic we could spend an awful lot of time talking about, but I think I just have one or two slides just to mention, is this whole thing that we talked about with traffic calming. And some of the traffic calming principles are very effective for bicycles and pedestrians, one of them being these bulb connections at intersections to reduce the crosswalk distance, but it forces vehicles to make some maneuvers to slow them down, as you probably are familiar with. So those types of traffic calming concepts are very effective in a safe walk to school and or community where we're trying to reduce vehicle, pedestrian, and bike conflicts. Madison does this quite a bit, actually, and especially near their local school systems in the residential areas, and it's proven to be quite effective. And there's some other ideas, such as at a T intersection, of how to better accommodate that. This one I found very interesting. This is a concept that's been piloted in Phoenix. Actually, Tucson. Sorry, this is Tucson. And what this is, one of the issues they had is, this is a school-related area and a sidewalk next to a busy area or busy street. And the kids waiting to cross would all kind of pile up on the sidewalk, and they're very close to the pedestrian, or very close to the vehicular pedestrian crossing line here, if you will, or that curb. So one of the ideas they said, well, they essentially just poured a slab of concrete back into the school property and said, well, the kids waiting to cross, we want you all kind of behind the so-called yellow line. So they created an additional facility to keep everybody back and keep the sidewalk clear until it was okay to cross. And they found that to be extremely effective at school areas in controlling the flow of young kids and bicyclists.